coming to you live from Tennessee, from the east to the west. We are talking Cowboys everything. And you've just entered
the Cowboy Zone.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cowboy Zone. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And for the first time in 8 weeks, this is not a Victory Wednesday. So we haven't been talking about last week's games in the past couple of weeks. But this week, I want to touch bases on a few things. Talking about the game, I've been watching social media kind of explode all week with just sky falling and everything's bad. And I just want to give my opinions on what I've seen so far. Going back and looking at the game, I know we got a lot of great guys in who watched it themselves. So be sure to get in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the game because I haven't gotten a chance to see everybody's opinion. Excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather, but got to play through it because it's all about the Cowboys and got to recap this coming game as well as talk about last week's game. So I see we got Sammy joining us. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name, but Sammy, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in to the Cowboy Zone. I see we got my guy Mendoza joining us in the building. What's up, Mendoza? Thank you for tuning in. Also got my guy Jack Meeker joining us. Thank you for joining, Jack. I always appreciate your support. And we got William Coulter. Thank you, William, for joining us as well. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. I see we got viewers starting to come in pretty quick. So if you guys haven't done so already, make sure you like this video. For the ones who are watching who haven't commented and you haven't subscribed yet, I got my social media stuff going across the bottom of the screen. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also make sure you share this. I don't get the chance to share it as much as I would like to before the show starts. So if you guys have a favorite Cowboy page that you would like to see this discussion be put in, make sure you share this. Share it to your personal page, share it to your favorite page. Sharing is caring. What's up, DJ Dog? Thank you for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you joining us in the Cowboy Zone tonight also. So, haven't done this in probably 4 weeks, but tonight we have to do a game recap of what we saw against the Denver Broncos. I don't really have anything prepared, so whatever direction you guys want to go to, let's hit it. We'll talk about it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll move on to some of these key matchups that we have against Atlanta because there are a lot of great matchups in this game. And like I've been telling you guys since the offseason, this was the one game I had circled on my schedule as the potential upset. And after last week's game, I don't know if it changes my mind or if it scares me even more. So let's do a quick game recap and let's talk about the Cowboys versus the Denver Broncos.
Game recap.
All right, so as we all know, Dallas lost to the Denver Broncos. I went back and looked at the game, and the only thing I could think of, I don't know if you guys remember, and thank you, Jack, for sharing. I appreciate that. I see we got Franco Geekin in the building. Thank you for joining. Always looking forward to your great questions and comments, as well as everybody who's joined us so far. And Sammy, looks like it's a new name. This is a very interactive show. We'd love to highlight our viewers. So if you have a question, got a comment, be sure to put it in the comments so that we can let everybody know about it. And also so we can discuss it. So just talking about this game, and William says it's all ass whooping. Definitely true. Let me start off with this first before I go into specifics. Because when I saw this game, I don't know if you guys remember the movie The Replacements, one of my all-time favorite movies. And as I was rewatching the game, I kept thinking about a speech that Shane Falco made while the team was together and they were gearing up for their big game. So let me just play a little bit of that and let me know if you guys think this fits to what Dallas had happened this past week. And let me know if you guys can hear this.
You're playing, and you think everything is going fine, but then one thing goes wrong. And then another. And another. And you try to fight back, but the harder you fight, the deeper you sink. Until you can't move. You can't breathe. Because you're in over your head. Like quicksand.
I thought that quicksand reference was very good and very accurate to what I saw on Sunday. And guys, let me know in the comments if you were able to hear that, because I haven't tested that system out in quite a while. So as I watched the game, 4th and 1, we don't get the completion. They go and score. Then we come back again, numerous drop balls, mental mistakes, overthrows. It was just a quicksand game to me. Every time we try to take a step forward, either we shoot ourselves in the foot or the refs or the penalties or stuff like that. Every time we tried to take a step forward, something bad would happen. And we just kept going deeper and deeper. And it got to a point where we couldn't even keep our heads above water. So when I look at this game, it's a quicksand game to me. I think it's more of an anomaly than what we can expect. I don't think they exposed anything. Talking about some of their matchups, we talked about this last week. I told you guys that they have a great guard center guard combo inside, and that really showed on Sunday. And it really showed after halftime when Quentin Miners went in, which is a guy that a lot of people like during draft talk, super strong, kind of a bully guard, and he just came in and it took the run game to another level. That was the first thing that stood out to me, the running game. Also played great first half, but it was obvious after halftime he ran out of gas. Him and Hamilton both. I don't know why they didn't use Bohanna. I mean, I don't think he's that good against the run, but I would have expected to see those guys get a little bit of a break. After halftime, it was pretty much Hamilton and Osa. I don't know what Watkins was, and they just kept ramming it down those guys' throats, and they couldn't get any pressure. And our ends, they kind of neutralized our ends with the run game. That's something a lot of teams can't do on the offensive side. And then you look at our secondary. They have a legitimate number 3 receiver. That kid made a lot of great plays for them in the slot, outside, Tim Patrick. And we just couldn't account for him. It was just one of those games. Like once again, I know people are saying we got exposed. I don't think it's really exposed. I just think it was more of a perfect storm for Denver. They came in with a lot of confidence, and we just started to slowly go down in quicksand, and we couldn't get our way out of it. Their composure kept going up, our composure kept going down, and we could never get that one play to switch the tides. And thank you, Spoonie, for joining us. I guess you guys in the Star Game podcast early tonight because normally I try to catch you guys before I come on. So thank you for tuning in. And just talking about just the quicksand part on defense, on our defense. We talked about the running game. We couldn't get them off the field. Then we go to special teams. And I'll get the offense in a minute, Shane. So I see your comment. And DJ Dog, I see your comments as well. I'll start with our defense first. Like I said, Tim Patrick kept making plays. We couldn't stop him inside, outside. We all who really watched the game kind of know Trayvon Diggs is a great corner, but he's not an elite shutdown corner. And I got to put this up, DJ Dog. That's a great stat that I didn't even know. Teddy Bridgewater is 7-0 lifetime against the NFC East. So there's something about our conference that just either makes Teddy Bridgewater stand up or our conference hasn't scouted him well enough to prevent it. That's a great stat. Thank you for putting that up. So like I was talking about with the defense, Tim Patrick, we couldn't stop him. Their running backs, I talked about their running backs last week. What makes their running game dangerous is there's no letdown between the first running back and the second running back. I know we love Zeke. I know we love Ballard, but they're two completely different type of guys. When one guy comes in, you're going to get more of a power inside game. And then when you bring in Ballard, you're going to get a little bit more elusiveness. When you play against Denver, it's almost like you got one bell cow running back that's just coming at you nonstop. Both their running backs are like 5'11", 210, 215. They're both C-gap runners. They're both great out of the backfield catching, great blockers. So I just think it was kind of a constant thing where our defense couldn't get a break. And I see we got Starboy in the building. Thank you for joining us tonight also. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. And then we go to the offense. And this brings up quite a few topics that we can hit on. So go back to DJ Dog's first comment first. Talking about constant pressure in the pocket for Dak. Now, when I went back and watched the game, I didn't see 11 pressures from Terence Steele. I'm not saying he had a good game at all, by no stretch of the imagination. But I didn't see 11 pressures. So, just got to talk about Steele. And I've been saying this for a couple weeks. Talked about this on this podcast. Talked about this on Keeping Up with the Joneses. I didn't like the move of changing Terence Steele to left tackle. I hated it, actually. I hate it this week. I know we all kind of hear the talk about this best five scenario that everybody loves to throw out there. Shane Owen says, talk about quicksand. Zeke was in it deep. Yeah, they definitely had us running a step slower than we normally do. And I'm about to talk about that too. So just talking about the offensive line and the best five. Offensive line is like any other position. Offensive line is about technique. It's about uniformity. You can't put a guy who you think is a better player and just switch him to a completely different side and expect to get the same type of output. It's just not going to happen. We talked about this with Collins when people were saying, well, we could just move Collins to left guard. No, that can't happen because guys have a continuity but with the guys on the left and the guys on the right. And techniques are different at different positions, either between center guard, guard tackle, or just left side and right side. To be honest, as bad as Ty Nsekhe played 2 weeks ago, I think it would have been much better if we played him at left tackle and kept Steele at right tackle and just threw him more help on that left side. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this week, but we gotta get out of this. We can just plug and play a guy specifically on the offensive line. Any other position, you could probably get away with it, but offensive line, you got to keep that continuity. You can't just keep pushing guys all across the line of scrimmage, up and down the line, and expecting top level performances. And thank you, Spoon. I appreciate that. I know you talk about this quite a bit too, so I know I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to you. And Starboy says Collins needs to be over there. Again, I don't think you can just move a guy from one spot to another and expect to get positive output. Now, if you told me Collins was the backup and he's been playing left tackle for 2 weeks and he's gotten some reps with the first team for a couple of weeks, I say, okay, Collins may be ready to play tackle. But to be honest, I don't think we can expect much from Collins I don't think we could have expected Collins to be any better than Terence Steele was on the left side. And when I look at this game and I look at Denver, they had a 7th round pick playing outside linebacker. This dude was the 4th best linebacker at Ohio State last year. And this dude came in and almost made us feel like, did they even miss Von Miller? It was ridiculous. So hopefully we get that figured out. I think this week will be a much better matchup, and we'll talk about that in a minute because Atlanta doesn't really have the athletic outside guys like Denver has with Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan Cooper's not a great player, but he's like 6'2", 230, 4'6" speed guy, and he was constantly beating Terence Steele to the outside with his speed. I don't think we have that same problem with Atlanta, but we'll talk about that in about 10 minutes. So then we go to the offense in terms of quarterback. I don't know what was happening. It looked like, again, I talk about the quicksand. There looked to be a lot of pressuring. Like those guys put a lot of pressure on themselves, and they were bound up too tight. And yeah, just like Spoonie said, Browning was balling, Baron Browning. We talked about that last week. He hasn't started a single game for them from weeks 1 through 8. 1 through 8. 2 weeks ago, he had 8 tackles. I think this game he had like 10 tackles. So that kid has come in and just balled. And yeah, DJ Dog Cooper had like 5 sacks in the preseason. But like I said, he was probably playing against third stringers in the preseason because he wasn't playing over Von Miller. He wasn't playing over Baron Browning. He wasn't playing over the guy on the opposite side. He was probably playing against guys who aren't even in the league right now. Not saying he's not a talented player, but he should not have looked as good as he did in that game. And Shane Odom says, I think it hurt us that Jarwin was out. We couldn't help Chip on the line. I mean, that could have been a factor. But when I looked at the game as a whole, we did what we normally do against other teams. Like, they were getting pressures, but it wasn't until like the end of the second until the hounds got unleashed and they were just really making Dak stress. Dak was getting out of the pocket. Dak was finding his spots. The problem was we weren't completing them. So like when I go back and look at the game and I look at all the missed opportunities that kept happening. You talk about the 4th and 1, horrible play call, by the way. That should not have been the play. And then we go back to all these different missed opportunities. We look at a 3rd down that Tony Pollard dropped, a 3rd down that Amari Cooper dropped. CeeDee Lamb, Dak overthrew him twice for what would have been walk-in touchdowns by him. We just had a lot of missed opportunities. And I don't know if it was because Dak wasn't in sync or we got down early and guys were kind of pressing themselves and each other and they were just playing a little bit too tight than what they normally do. And we just had a lot of missed opportunities in this game. And Zeke had a solid game, considering he had 50 yards, 5 yards a carry. But there was really not a lot he could do at that point. And William Coulter talks about this, which was something really impressive they did. Simmons was balling, and that's what a good safety can do for you. Going back and looking at that game, their corners were playing super aggressive. So I don't know if that may have thrown the team off because normally corners play off of us 5-7 yards. And in this game, it looked like Simmons came in the huddle and said, look, guys, you make a mistake, I got you. You go up there and mug these guys, and I'll take care of the rest. That's what it looked like to me between him and Kareem Jackson. And those corners were playing super aggressive. I don't think that's something we expected. I don't think that's something we'll see again either. I really think looking at this game, just kind of comparing it to the guys we have to play coming up, I don't see another team that can do what they did to us. Nobody else has the safeties they have. This may have been the best center guard center offensive line we'll see. No team has the type of running backs that this team has. Like I said, you're basically just getting like one guy coming nonstop at 100% speed. So I think we want to prepare for that. And Spoonie talks about the block. That was really demoralizing. Like, I believe the game at that point was 16-0. We blocked the punt. We would have got it like the 27-yard line. And then because of some play that seems like it only affects the Cowboys, going back to Thanksgiving of 96, I believe, we miss out and they get a first down. And Spoonie also, I agree with this. This game can make us a dangerous team going forward. And we got to talk about this because I haven't seen anybody talk about this. When you look back at last week and the coaches were saying, we're going to spend less time on the field and more time doing film study. Maybe that could have been a part of why we came out kind of flat, because they spent too much time trying to focus on what they would do on the field instead of focusing on playing on the field. When you just got a better team, you should just go out there and compete and win. And if they throw some wrinkles at you, you be able to kind of weather the storm and the better team should win. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that one. Like I said before, quicksand game. We just kept digging ourselves deeper and deeper. And no matter how hard we fought, we just couldn't dig ourselves out. And at the end of the game, it was an embarrassing loss, just plain and simple. All right, let's see if we got any more comments. William says, I knew we were going to lose when we blocked the punt and Denver got a first down. Exactly. When it's not your day, it's not your day. And when you look around the league, because I know Ralph Campos, thank you for joining. Appreciate you tuning in. I've seen your name quite a few times in the past, so thank you for coming back and joining us on the Cowboy Zone. So like William was saying, when it's not your day, it's not your day. It happens. I mean, you look at the top teams in the league right now. New Orleans Saints lose to Atlanta. Nobody expected that. Tennessee Titans just embarrassed the Rams. It happens. Buffalo, I thought, was probably the most complete team in the league, more complete than us. They got beat 9-6 at home against Jacksonville. It happens. So let's not act like the sky's falling. Let's not act like we're the only team in the world who loses to a lesser team. It happens. Hopefully the team learned from it. Looking at all the sound bites from some of the leaders on the team, it looks like they have learned from it. One of the things I would say is a testament to what we have in the locker room this year. Guys came out and were accountable and said, I looked bad and we look bad and we're going to fix this. In years past, you wouldn't get that from players. You would get that from the coaches and the front office. This year, we got guys holding themselves and each other accountable. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they put on display on this Sunday. And just like you said, Ralph Campos, this was definitely a wake-up call. I think guys were really kind of feeling themselves. And I think this gives them a rude awakening. I mean, from Dak to the wide receivers, Trayvon Diggs. Definitely. Like Spoonie said, leadership is incredible. We haven't had leadership like this on the defense in 15 years. I know people talk about Sean Lee was a leader, but Sean Lee was more of a field general in terms of getting guys in place and just being the go-to guy to get people set. Now we have guys who keep people accountable. You rarely saw Sean Lee do stuff like I've seen from J-Ron Curse so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this week. Again, I've been saying it since the offseason. This game still scares me. I had us pick to lose this game week 4 of the preseason. I had us set to lose this game after week 1. We did a game recap for the second half of the season, week 8. And I still picked us to lose this game against Atlanta. So now we go to the breakdown against Atlanta, and I hope you guys can talk me off the ledge. Yeah, definitely, Spone. This is my guy from Clemson. If you followed this show at all, I've been saying since April when we signed this guy that he would step in and be the safety and be the leader of this defense because he's always shown that. A lot of people couldn't see it in Minnesota because he was at the bottom of the totem pole behind some very good safeties. And then in Detroit, not Detroit. Yeah, Detroit. He was really just there because they signed him. I think he's really getting a chance to show what he has. So I'm looking forward to this. And Ralph Campo says, I feel sorry for Atlanta because we're going to come back with a vengeance. And William Coulter says the exact same thing. So definitely. And Starboy talking about the Bird Gang Killer. I wish I had Lambo on here so he could play a soundbite from his song. He made the song called Bird Gang. He was on the song called Bird Gang Killer. So Lambo, shouts out to you. I know you're probably watching. Take care of yourself. Get well. Take care of your personal situation so we can get you back on the Cowboy Zone. All right. So with that being said, we're at 28 minutes. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the matchups that we have with the Atlanta Falcons. I've watched about 3 or 4 games of Atlanta. I watched 3 full games. I don't like to come on here after watching a game or watching a couple of series and give you guys my opinion. I really value that you guys come and join me to talk about the show. So I like to make sure that I'm as prepared as possible, and I'm not just giving you something from a quick take or a hot take. I like to really take my time, look at games, and give you my opinion based off of what I've seen over a fairly large sample size. So let's get into it, and let's go next to our storylines because we have a couple of guys coming back.
Storylines.
All right, so I guess the major storylines that we have right now, number 1, it looks like Terence Steele going to be out this week. And it looks like we're going to get Terence Steele another week at left tackle. I'm hoping it doesn't bite us in the butt. I've seen a lot of people on social media bringing up the Chaz Green situation. I hope that's not the case. I'm hoping that with the second week of practice that he looks a little bit better. He actually looked pretty solid at left tackle in the preseason in limited snaps. But once again, like I said to somebody about Jonathan Cooper, he was playing against third stringers at left tackle. So I expect him to look good as a guy with 16 games of NFL experience. So yeah. So hopefully he looks a little bit better. And then we also should get Michael Gallup back, which looks like it's just in time because Cedric Wilson appears to have missed practice today with the injured shoulder. So guys, make sure you pay attention to the injury report tomorrow to see if Cedric Wilson practices. Thursday is usually the really telling day. If a guy doesn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, there's usually a strong chance he's not playing that week unless he's just like one of your top 5 guys on the team where you feel like you can't win without this guy being on the field. So if he's not one of those guys and he doesn't practice tomorrow, more than likely we're going to see a lot of Michael Gallup this week. Also, I believe we'll probably see Tristan Hill this week. I think this is the week he gets to come back and play a few snaps. Like I just talked about with the Broncos game, our defensive line looked worn out after after halftime. And it was mainly because we didn't get a lot of snaps from our backups. So hopefully they throw Tristan Hill in, get him some snaps, see what he can do, and help us out, keep Osa and Watkins and Hamilton a little bit more rested as we go through this game. And Ralph Campbell saying we got to do better than left tackle. Terence Steele ain't getting it done. We haven't gone back to calling him Terrence Aluminum yet, so there's a little bit of a silver lining with that. And Mendoza saying, yeah, the Falcons started 1-3. Their defense gave up 32 a game. Now they're 3-1. Defense doing better, giving them 23 a game. And we'll talk about that also, because I noticed there were some changes that were made in how they run their defense and personnel that really led to the slight turnaround they've made. And Ralph saying Steele was good. We gave him help on that side. That's probably true. And it also probably helps that you have one of the 25 greatest offensive linemen of all time playing next to him as well. Mendoza saying Gallup should open things up a lot more for this offense. I'll get to that in a minute. From what I saw from Atlanta the past 4 games, I definitely see some opportunities here. And yeah, Ralph saying our defense was tired. They definitely were after halftime. And William Coates is saying Tyrell not playing is about pain, and there's a shot you could take for that. There are some other ways around that also. That's what makes me kind of concerned that is not what they say it is. Because when you have a bone spur, it's really just like a calcium buildup, and it's rubbing against another bone. It's causing you like a slight sharp pain when you put pressure on it. So there are shoes that he can wear. There's a special brace he could probably get made that would alleviate the bone-on-bone touching. And then there's also the shot that he could take that would get him through a 3-hour game, or at least most of it, before it wears off. So because of that, that makes me concerned, William. Maybe it's not a bone spur that the problem is. And they haven't put him on IR yet, so hopefully that means he'll be able to come back in the next couple of weeks. And Shane saying, yeah, Dak was rusty. I don't know. I don't really know if it was rust, Shane. It looked to me like they were just really pressing. Somebody made the point, and thank you, Spoon, saying you were getting 2 shots per month. And Marlo, thank you for joining, saying it's a high ankle sprain with bone spurs. And Mendoza saying suggesting of a high ankle sprain. I think that's what it is too, honestly. I really think it's more of a high ankle sprain than bone spurs. Now, that's not something you could really give a shot for, but as an offensive lineman, you can play with a high ankle sprain after 2 weeks. You could probably get away with 1, maybe not at left tackle, maybe like at guard, somewhere where you're not pressing as much on one leg as a plant leg. So if it's a high ankle sprain, I would expect to see Tyron back after 2 weeks. So let's hope that's what it is. Now, what was I just saying? I was talking about the offensive line, and I was talking about Gallup, and we were talking about the Falcons and their defense and how well they were looking. So yeah, that's pretty much all the storylines I got. We got a couple of guys coming back. Be on the lookout for Cedric Wilson tomorrow in the injury report. See what happens with him. Spoonie says Semi may get activated. We'll see, Spoonie. You know how I am about special teams. And Malik Turner was all over the field on special teams on Sunday. It's going to be hard for Semi to get a roster spot when you got a guy like that as your 5th, 6th corner that's giving you impact tackles, block punts, coverage on your special teams. And on top of that, he showed us he can play a little bit of receiver, and he got us a touchdown and a couple of good routes at the end of the game. So hopefully, I know we love to see Semi. I mean, a lot of us were very high on him. It's going to be hard for him to beat Malik Turner out to get a spot, but you never know. William Coulter says, do you think they're not rushing them back because we have a 3-game lead in the division? That's a good point, William. You never know. I mean, we've all been just gushing over how good Terence Steele has played, and Lyle Collins is people are saying Lyle Collins is a top 5, top 10 tackle. So maybe they went into the game and said, you know what? We got 2 talented tackles. Denver just lost Von Miller. Maybe we can get by. And then they saw what happened. This week, I think it'll be a little bit better when you look at Atlanta's team. So maybe they think they can get by a second week to gear up for when we start to hit the second big part of the schedule, when we really get back in division games, and then we got the Chiefs coming in. We got the Chiefs coming in. We got a couple of other big games coming in. So maybe they're trying to hold off, get through this slight lull in the schedule to be 100% once we start to get those upper echelon teams on our schedule. All right, guys, we're at 37 minutes. I got a lot of notes about this Falcons-Cowboys game, so I'll try to go through them as quickly as I can. Make sure you guys keep hitting with the questions and comments. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, make sure you share, and if you're on YouTube and you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. I got my information going across the bottom of the screen. All right, so let's get into our key matchups really quick with the Cowboys versus the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, not the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, sorry. That's the medicine kicking in.
Key matchups.
All right. I keep saying it. This game has me concerned for certain reasons. I don't think it'll be a blowout. This team has some talent. And thank you for pointing this out, Mendoza. Dallas has 4 games in 18 days, 2 back-to-back Thursday night games. You got Oakland coming into town. You got to go to the Chiefs. These are all top-level teams. I know people don't consider Oakland a top-level team, but they have talent, even with the whole Henry Ruggs situation. And Mendoza said that's something Mike and the rookies are going to find out about, especially with Micah being an opt-out last year. Yeah, we got a long season that these guys aren't used to. And most rookies normally hit their rookie wall around week 12. And add on top of that, Micah hadn't played football since 2019 before this year. So hopefully he can keep it up. I like the fact that they took the play calling away from him so he can play a little bit more loose and fast. I like the fact we're getting guys back on the defense, Neville Gallimore, DeMarcus Lawrence, to help take some pressure off of them. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting second half of the season. Shane Odom says, I hope the Cowboy fans show up at the stadium and not let what happened last week happen. That was embarrassing, and the Broncos fans took over AT&T Stadium. Broncos fans actually travel well, and it's not that far. And they've been hyping this game up quite a bit. So I don't know. I expect Atlanta to come in with a lot of juice because they're still upset about last year. And that's one of the many things that concerns me about this game. Stephen White, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in. You're usually a regular on Keeping Up with the Joneses. So thank you for joining me on a Wednesday night to talk some Cowboys football. All right, guys. Let me give you and Spoony, exactly. Denver's not a bad team. They're just not a team that we normally talk about. They're not a large market team, so a lot of people don't pay attention to them. But they have talent at certain spots. So now, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons and some of the key matchups in this game. I'll start with Atlanta's offense first because this is where I have the most notes from. Spoonie made the comment earlier about their offensive line, and I have to go back and find it. But he said their offensive line isn't very good. I'll agree and disagree with you to an extent on that one, Spoonie. When I look at their offensive line, the first 4 weeks of the season, there was no continuity. They got Matt Hennessy, 3rd round pick this year, I think, or last year. They moved him into the starting lineup at center. And when you put in a rookie center, that's always a problem. We see that firsthand in Dallas. Their starting center last year, 1st round pick, Chris Winstrom, they moved him to guard. So, and then on top of that, their left guard is Jalen Mayfield. And if you guys follow me last year doing draft talk, you know this was probably my 2nd or 3rd favorite tackle in the draft. They have him playing left guard. So when you look at their offensive line, they basically got 3 rookies in the interior. And the first 4 weeks of the season, it showed because there was no continuity inside in terms of their blocking. And you could see definite miscommunications in pass protection specifically. The past 4 weeks, it looked like they've worked this thing out. When I looked at the past 4 weeks, Jalen Mayfield has turned into a very, very, very good pass blocking guard. Not say pass blocking. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Matt Hennessy's gotten more comfortable at center. Chris Lindstrom has gotten more comfortable at guard. In the interior, their pass blocking has improved tremendously. And Mendoza brings a great point talking about Matt Ryan's completion percentage. This all boils down to how great their offensive line has been pass blocking. They don't have good receivers because Calvin Ridley's out, but they're giving Matt Ryan a lot of time in their pocket. And we definitely got to get him off his spot, Mendoza. Great point. Now, when it comes to run blocking, when you look at this team, Matt Hennessy is a kind of undersized center. I don't think they have an offensive lineman that's over 315. When you look at them, it almost looks like you got 5 tackles playing on the field or 4 tackles in an undersized center. They're very good on the move, but they don't have good zone running backs. Mike Davis is not a zone running back. Cordaro Patterson is not a good zone running back. If he gets a hole, he'll hit it hard, but he's not the type of guy who can have the patience to wait for a hole to open up and then cut up and go straight up field. So that's one of the concerns with them. They're not very good against the run, but against the pass, Matt Ryan consistently gets 4 seconds because their 5 tackles can handle your 5 guys coming if you bring a 5th guy. So that's definitely something we got to worry about. Now, when I look at this offense in general, the scheme, what scares me about it is their biggest strengths in the pass game are, in my opinion, our biggest weaknesses. Their offense will lull you to sleep. They love running 5-yard comebacks, 5-yard outs, quick hitches, slants. They make your linebackers really have to read the field. And like I said, they give their quarterback a lot of time. So they love to send guys on drag routes quite a bit. Every time I watch their games, it looks like on every route concept, they have one guy on the inside running a go or a post or a corner route, and then the guy on the outside running a drag right behind them to try to throw off that outside cornerback and those linebackers. So if we give Matt Ryan time, that drag route is going to kill us, because as much as I love Jaron Kearse, the one issue I have in him is pass coverage. He is awful covering guys across the field. He's pretty good covering deep, but when it comes to trailing the guy across the field, he just doesn't have it. So that one really concerns me. They only have one deep threat guy, and that's Zacchaeus. He's pretty much brought into the game to run go routes and double moves. Now, we know that's been Trayvon Diggs' weakness for the past couple of weeks. So that's one of those things you have to keep in the back of your minds as well. And Mendoza talks about Cordaro Patterson. This is the most concerning thing about their offense. And they do have two nice tight ends, Mendoza. I'll get to that. The thing about their offense, Cordaro Patterson is the engine. They love to put him in the backfield. They run them on swing routes. They run them on out routes. They throw them in the slot, reverses. It looks like everything they do is based off of getting Patterson in a favorable matchup and then allowing him to get somebody else open on some type of inside route. Every time they do a passing play, I barely see Patterson off the field. They play him at H-back, slot, outside, running back, fullback even. It's crazy. He is definitely a unicorn. And I talked about this about 3 weeks ago with New England. We haven't really seen Micah Parsons have to cover running back routes. He looked really good 2 weeks ago, but this is a different type of route runner. Cordaro Patterson may be one of the best stop-start guys in the league that doesn't get the credit he deserves. This guy will catch a ball and in a split second he's upfield. If you're not right on top of him, he can turn a swing route into a 15-yard play. He could turn a 5-yard comeback into a touchdown. So we definitely got to pay attention to him and where he's lined up at. So I talked about Zacchaeus, and then we got to talk about Russell Gage, like Mendoza brought up. Gage and Tajay Sharp, the other receiver. These guys are just pure Tennessee Vols. He was fired, yeah. So Gage and Tajay Sharp, those are just chain moving guys from what I see. If it's 3rd and 5, Tajay Sharp's going to find a gap, turn around, Matt Ryan's going to throw it to him. Russell Gage, 3rd and 4, he's going to give you a 5-yard route, turn and catch it. Outside routes, what have you. The Falcons may be one of the best third down teams in the league and they don't get the notoriety for it. And that kills a team. That demoralizes a defense when a team just consistently gets third down conversions. They're almost like us, except they don't have the run game to get them in third and short situations. They use the passing game as an extension. So on 1st and 10, they may run a 4-yard slant. On second and 6, they may run a 3-yard comeback, and then it's 3rd and 2. And they just keep converting. And I talked about the lack of depth on this team in the interior. That can kill the offensive line. And we also have that lack of depth at other positions as well. And I'm about to get to the tight ends, Spooney and Mendoza. I see you guys have brought up Hayden and Kyle Pitts. Now, when I look at their receivers, the tight ends, I talked about Zacchaeus as the only deep threat receiver. They use their tight ends as deep threats. Like Kyle Pitts, I rarely see him run a route that's under 15 yards. It's ridiculous. And his catch percentage has to be in the low to mid 90s. He's coming down with balls consistently. They play him outside a little bit, but they really let him do his work on the inside. Hayden Hurst, he's really one of those 1st and 10, 2nd and 6 guys that gets you 3 or 4 yards consistently. He uses his body really well to get position. He knows how to find gaps in the secondary and in the linebacker group to get 3 or 4 yards whenever you need it. This game just really concerns me because I feel like they can do kind of what Denver did last week and throw our offense off because they're just holding the ball for so long with 10, 15 play drives because we just can't get them off the field on 3rd down. So we got to hope that our defensive ends can get there. Yeah, we definitely got to make them pay Brandon Wood and Mendoza. Yeah, they're definitely more receiving threats than blockers. I mean, there are some games that Atlanta just gives up on the run altogether. They use Mike Davis as a 6 blocker, and they just let Cordaro Patterson run out of the backfield running routes. 1st and 10, they may try to run it just to keep people honest, but they really don't run much at all. So those things really concern me about their offense. Again, very athletic offensive line. As much as we love Randy Gregory and he's balling this year, if he's dealing with a calf injury, I don't think we can just depend on him to just beat Jake Matthews and get home. I think we're going to have to really win with our other guys. I think we're going to have to see Parsons rush a little bit more, but then that concerns me because now that leaves you with relying on Van Der Esch to cover Patterson out of the backfield. And that's 20 yards every time if that happens. So anytime you guys see LVE lined up against Patterson, just go ahead and look for the chains to move because he has no chance against Patterson. So now we talk about the tight ends and Kyle Pitts. And I want to get you guys' opinion on this because I've seen a couple of teams do this, and I'm wondering what you guys think. Now, the Dak pick, Mendoza, that was really just the corners playing underneath because the safeties had their backs. That was it. Atlanta doesn't have the same luxury. I don't think we're going to see some of the same schemes we saw with Denver. And Ralph Campo asked a good question. Why did we go from man to man to zone last week? That seemed to hurt us. My honest opinion, the run game was killing us. So we need to have more eyes in the backfield. And the only way to do that is by running a zone. Because if you run man to man, your linebackers, your safeties, your corner, whoever's covering man, their first move is jam in here. So their heads are turned. So if the ball is run at them, that split second, they don't see it coming. But when you run a zone, everybody's first step is backpedaling. So they're always watching the line of scrimmage. So in my opinion, that's probably one of the reasons we went to more of a zone look. On top of that, Tim Patrick was their slot corner, and he was the one that was killing us. So if you're getting killed by the slot receiver, the only way to really combat that is to go to more of a zone coverage and hope the slot can't find the areas in the zone and get open. Because Tim Patrick is 6'5", playing the slot. He's a mismatch for any corner we have, let alone 5'10" Jordan Lewis, 5'11" Anthony Brown trying to cover him inside. So when you got a guy that big that can run routes from the slot, it's kind of hard to ask anybody to cover them man because as a slot receiver, you can't put your hands on him. So you're giving a 6'5" guy a free release. And the only way to combat that, if you can't put your hands on him, you got to make sure you run zones so you can keep eyes on them. So, oh yeah, like I was saying, I've seen a couple of games, like example, Miami. Miami put Xavier Howard on Kyle Pitts. When Carolina played Atlanta, they put Stephon Gilmore on Kyle Pitts. And for the most part, it seemed to work. So let me get you guys' comments. What do you guys think about us using Trayvon Diggs more on Kyle Pitts on the inside? And hoping our other corners can kind of keep track with the outside guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I think Jaron Kearse might be okay because he can match them size for size. The speed is going to be a big difference. But Kearse has really good ball skills. Stephen White said Kearse, yeah. Kearse has really good ball skills. So I think unless Pitts just gets an extremely free release and gets to pick up a bit, build up a head of steam, I think Kearse will be okay. But I wanted to bring it up because I've seen several teams put their number one corners on Kyle Pitts. Mendoza says he wouldn't mind it. Spooney says he keep Diggs outside. I mean, I I couldn't disagree with you. I just want to throw the question out there to see what you guys thought. All right, guys, we're at 57 minutes. So just to kind of recap, offensive side of the ball, watch Zacchaeus on the double moves. Find Cordaro Patterson wherever he goes, number 84. If you're watching the game, find 84 because the offense is going to start and stop based off of where he is. Make sure you see who they have lined up on him. If it's LVE, get down on your knees and pray. If it's Michael Parsons, we're going to really get a chance to see how good he is in coverage. Because athletically, they're pretty even in terms of speed and agility. And Cordaro Patterson's a pretty big receiver. People don't give him credit for it. He's like 6'3", 224, running a 4.3. So it's going to be a good matchup. Pay attention to Kyle Pitts going deep and watch those inside routes. Watch how those receivers find gaps in our coverage. I think this might be the game. We talked about zone and man. I think this is a game we might want to see more man and just hope that our talent is better than their talent because I don't see a receiver on their team that's better than Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, or Trayvon Diggs. So I think those guys can kind of match up with them pretty well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Mike Davis may make a couple of big runs, but I'm not looking for a lot from him. And our defensive line has to get pressure on Matt Ryan because pass blocking, their offensive line is doing very good right now. All right, let's go to the defense really quick. So we'll start with the front line, then we'll take our way back. When I look at their front four or front three, because they run a lot of 3-4, I don't see playmakers. I see Spooney says Osa will have his best game. I really like Jalen Mayfield. Chris Lindstrom is a very solid player. I hope that's the case. But I like their guards when it comes to pass coverage. Now, if they try to run the ball on us, Osa's going to kill somebody because those guys don't have it when it comes to run blocking. But pass blocking, they're really good. So now we look at Atlanta's defense. Their defensive line, they run a 3-4. They don't have anybody that scares me. I know people are going to bring up the name that they have in another Clemson guy. And once again, the name escapes me when I'm going live. So let me know the name of the defensive tackle they have because I always go blank when I'm live. And he's a Clemson guy, so I should definitely always have his name in the back of my head. Let me know the D tackle's name, somebody. Everybody knows the name. Thank you, Grady Jarrett. Thank you, Spooney. Everybody knows Grady Jarrett. He's a shell of himself, honestly. He's not giving them much in terms of pass rush. He's still pretty solid in terms of explosion against the run, but he's not the special type of guy he used to be. And then they got Tyler Davison. I think that's a guy they paid a lot of money for in the offseason. Again, he's really been kind of just a guy. Nothing special on the inside. And then the other defensive end, his name escapes me. But I haven't seen anything special from their defensive line that would make me say our offensive line is in trouble. And thank you for joining, Amanda. Appreciate you tuning in. We're at an hour. I'll probably go another 15 minutes, and then I'll get out of here before my cough starts to kick back in too much. So their other defensive end is Jonathan Ballard. Thank you, Mendoza. As soon as you put it up there, I said it. Jonathan Ballard, former 4th-round pick out of Florida, I believe. He played at like 260 in college. He's probably up to like 290 now because for some odd reason, they play him as a 3-4 defensive end. And looking at him play, you can definitely tell he's lost a lot of the athleticism he had in college. So when it comes to pass rush, I don't see anything that scares me on this team. They do still have the outside linebacker that they got from the Ravens, Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler is really just a first-round name that we know at this point. He's done nothing in his career. He hasn't done anything so far this season. He may be injured because I didn't even notice him in the last 3 games. I don't know. Somebody can check on it. Let me know. I don't even know if he's injured or not, but he's been a non-factor on the outside. And the other outside linebacker is Ongadeji. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's kind of really their only pass rush guy. So when it comes to pass rush, even with Terence Steele playing, I'm confident that he has a better game than he had last week. I don't see the big guy on the inside that's going to pressure our interior linemen. So I think in terms of pass coverage, I think we should be really good in terms of our offensive line. Now, when I go to the linebacker position, their linebackers in the inside are amazing. They may have, and Mendoza, once again, as soon as I say it, you get on it. They may have a top 5. I won't even say may. They do have a top 5 interior linebacker core. Deion Jones and Alula Khan are ridiculous. These dudes, they're both undersized. They're both about 215. They play like 2 strong safeties at linebacker. These guys fly all across the field. So one thing I will say about that, though, they're pretty good at tackles for losses, but the way Atlanta plays them, their first step is backwards because they rely on them heavily in pass coverage. So if this is not the game where we have a strong running game, I think this is a very good week for us to see a lot of swing passes out of the backfield. If our guys can block their linebackers, I think this should be a very good screen game because their defensive line just doesn't have it, and they rely heavily on those linebackers. Deion Jones may be one of the best coverage linebackers in the league. Alula Khan is just a playmaker. We talk about Micah Parsons and how great he's played. Both of their interior linebackers have averaged like 9 tackles a game. It's ridiculous. They're all over the field. But talking about the linebacker core, we go to the cornerback position. And this one is really interesting to me when I look at their corners. And guys, let me know if you have any questions or comments about anything I'm saying. I'm trying not to talk so much. I want to get you guys involved in the dialogue as well. But when I watch Atlanta play, they really treat AJ Tyrell like he's a shutdown corner. Every game I watched, they played AJ Tyrell in off-man coverage pretty much on an island with the other team's best receiver. Every game, no matter who the receiver was, he played 7 yards off in man coverage. And the rest of the defense just covers the rest of the field. They literally give AJ Terrell, this is your guy. You got him for the game. And Mendoza brings up a great point. 0 touchdowns allowed in man coverage. I also read something that said he's only given up like 73 yards receiving yards so far this year. I have to go back and fact check that, but that's ridiculous if that's true. But watching them play, I could see it because they literally just put him on an island off man and say, this is your guy. And then the linebackers cover the second level. Their safeties are heavily involved in playing in the zone area 10 to 15 yards. And they give their other corner, Fabian Moreau, a lot of help. Their biggest weakness on their defense is their slot receiver, a slot corner. They lost Isaiah Oliver about 4 weeks ago, and they have kind of a turnstile between the other three guys, and none of them look good. They've played their safety quite a bit as a nickel corner. That's how bad their nickel corners have looked. So if this is a game that Michael Gallup comes back and we get to see CeeDee Lamb go in the slot, look for a huge game from CeeDee Lamb. I haven't noticed AJ Terrell go in the slot with the best receiver. So more than likely, you would probably see him on Amari Cooper, which means they're going to try to run a lot of bracket coverage between the linebacker, the nickel corner, and the safety with CeeDee Lamb. So your key matchups, and Mendoza, I think Kendall Sheffield is hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I think Isaiah Oliver and Kendall Sheffield are both hurt. Because when I watched the last two games, I saw a lot of Avery Williams playing in the nickel spot, as well as Darren Hall. But I could be mistaken. But yeah, they're gonna do a lot of bracket coverage on our inside guy. So you're gonna see Michael Gallup outside with Fabian Moreau, with a lot of help from the safety on that side, and then you're gonna see Coop just one-on-one. So if I were a betting man and I'm playing fantasy this week, I'm putting a lot of money on Gallup and Lamb. Now, I haven't seen a lot of tight end play with them because their linebackers are so good at playing zones. And like I said before, their linebackers and their safeties are really well at covering the interior for the first 15 yards. So I don't know how much of an impact our tight ends are going to have this game. So I'm watching our running backs out of the backfield. I'm really watching CeeDee Lamb, and I'm really watching Michael Gallup, because if they put Lamb and Gallup on the same side, Dak is just going to read that safety. If that safety tries to play bracket coverage on the slot, you just throw it up one-on-one to Michael Gallup. If Gallup starts to make some plays and that safety starts to cheat downfield, you just go to CeeDee Lamb and watch him kill him. And Mendoza put the safeties up here, Eric Harris and Deron Harmon. Both of these guys are pretty much journeyman safeties. They're veteran guys, but they're not good enough to really impact the game. And they do have Richie Grant, a guy that everybody liked coming out of college, UCF. He hasn't played a lot. He's really just been their special teams guy. So just talking about their defense, I think we can run on these guys. I think we should have some big games from our running backs out of the backfield also. And if Gallup plays, I'm watching the Gallup Lamb stack, or Wilson Lamb, or whatever the case may be. I'm not afraid of AJ Terrell, but watching him play, I wouldn't tempt fate. I mean, the guy has been balling for a reason. He's getting lockdown treatment. So we got 2 other great receivers. Let's see what they can do this game. I think Dak should have a lot of time to throw it. They don't blitz a lot. Their linebackers never play at the line of scrimmage. Like their linebackers are always at least 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. So I don't see a lot of confusion that they try to throw at us from the linebackers, unless they just completely change their scheme around. If we have anything to be concerned about, it's their linebackers causing turnovers. And we saw this last year when we played. You guys may not remember Lulacon's name, but that's the guy who got the 2 forced fumbles on Zeke. And Deion Jones, very good in coverage. He can jump a route. So pay close attention to their inside linebackers. And to be honest, on this defense, that's really all I'm worried about. And Shane Odom asked a question about special teams. Our field goal kicker. I don't know much about him. I think he was a CFL kicker. I think him and what's his name? The receiver that used to play for Dallas. I think they played for the same team in Canada. I think he has a strong leg. So hopefully we don't have to rely on him in this game. Just give us some touchbacks and make 1 or 2 field goals if we need him to. I don't see us having a problem driving the ball down the field in this game. My only concern is if their offense holds the ball so long that they throw us out of the rhythm. So I don't have concerns about their defense. I have concerns about their offense. And on top of that, this is a revenge game for them. Now, preseason, I had them picked because I felt like they know Quinn's scheme backwards and forwards. But Quinn's not running the scheme that he normally runs. So that kind of throws that out of the window. And then just after watching them the past couple of weeks, their offense has really been coming along lately. And Mendoza says, I think Coop still get his against Tyrell. He'd be the first one, Mendoza. So we'll see. You never know. We talked about the Panthers defense, and look what we did to them. So you never know. We'll see. But going back and watching last week's game specifically with the Saints, if we do what the Saints did offensively, we should just destroy them because they had no answer for running backs out of the backfield. Actually, the past 3 weeks, because I believe Myles Gaskin, when they played, had like 12 catches against them as well. So definitely look for our running backs to be very active in the passing game this week. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I got for this week. We're at 1 hour, 15 minutes. If you guys got any other questions, anything you want to talk about, let me know. You know what? Before we go, I noticed the comments start to slow down a little bit. So let me get you guys back engaged in the conversation. And let me throw a couple of over-under scenarios out there to get you guys' opinions on some of the stuff we plan on seeing in this game. So let's get ready for over-under.
Over-under.
All right, so for you guys that are new to the show, this is a segment called Over-Under. Basically, I'll throw some scenarios out there, and you guys let me know if we'll get over or under on those statistics. Yeah, Starboy, I do need to get that. Lambeau plays it almost every week, so I normally just leave it up to him, but I'll definitely download it myself so I have it on standby, especially when we play a game like this. So we talked about Michael Gallup coming back and the potential that he has to have an effect on this game just with his outside running ability. So over under Michael Gallup 4 catches in his first game back. Over under 4 catches for Michael Gallup this week. And this is a good stat, Mendoza, saying the best wide receivers he faced were the Bucks, and they had a 40-burger put on him. McLaurin was next. Okay, so it looks like everybody expects Michael Gallup to come in and have a big game this week. And I see my guy Jeff joining us. Thank you for tuning in, Jeff. Definitely appreciate you getting off work and giving us a few minutes of your input. All right. Yeah, Jeff, thank you for joining us. So this over-under, this was going to be a little bit different. This was not going to be a statistic per se. It's going to be an over for which one. So I just talked about how susceptible the Falcons are against pass-catching running backs. So is Zeke going to have more passing yard, more receiving yards, or more rushing yards? Let me know what you guys' opinions are on that. Does Zeke have more receiving yards? I don't know why I keep saying passing. Zeke going to have more receiving yards or more rushing yards? I take that back. Our running backs combined, because we got Pollard in there too. So does that change you guys' opinions? Are our running backs in general going to have more rushing or receiving yards? Deshaun Taylor, thank you for joining us. Yeah, thanks, Ralph. It's the weather change. I'm in Tennessee. It's normally 70 degrees outside. The temperature's starting to drop to the 40s. And I already deal with bad sinuses as it is. So whenever there's a change in the temperature, it always affects me. I'll be feeling fine next week. Okay. So even with what I just said, everybody's pretty much going rushing except for Deshaun Taylor. And I'm with you, Taylor. I think we're going to get a couple of big plays in the receiving game. Like, I wouldn't be shocked to see us break a couple of 15, 20-yard catches from our running backs. So we'll definitely see. And Jeff says we need to get back to the basics on rushing. I definitely agree with that. And hopefully this will be the game to do it in. All right. So, talking about Terence Steele, and we haven't talked a lot about this because I tried to avoid it as much as I could. Last week, Terence Steele gave up 11 pressures according to PFF. Over under 6 pressures given up by Terence Steele. Over under 6 pressures. And Shane Odom, great point. I would love to see this be a game they use the wishbone in, or they bring in McGovern more as a fullback, because like I said before, both of Atlanta's linebackers are 215. They don't have a lineman over 310 pounds. So if you put him in as a fullback, he's eliminating the linebacker off top. So that would be definitely a great game. Mendoza says under. Jeff says I pray under. Spooney has it over, but he says only 7. Saying hopefully under. Stephen White, yeah. This would be a good week for the Hulk package. When you got a team with small linebackers that like to play in space, you limit the space and make them have to take on big guys. And plus, they changed the rules now so that linebackers can't go low on offensive linemen. So now you don't have that advantage of being able to just cut his legs out. You have to take them on up top. They'll lose that every time. So maybe we see more of the big packages in this week's game. All right, so talking about AJ Tyrell, and I didn't get a chance to pull the stats up. So let's see. Let's assume AJ Tyrell plays man-to-man with Amari Cooper. Over under Cooper 45 yards receiving. Over under 45. I don't think Tyrell has given up more than 20 in a game so far this year. Can Coop double that? Over under 45 receiving yards for Coop if he's lined up man-to-man against Tyrell. Let me know what you guys think. Okay. Stephen White says over. Jeff says over. Spoony said everybody's saying over. Okay. So you guys don't respect AJ Terrell. All right. Now this is kind of a revenge game for AJ Terrell because you keep hearing people talk about not Dallas. The Falcons shouldn't have drafted Terrell over Coop. So this is kind of a revenge game for him to kind of show he was the better player in that draft. So definitely something to pay attention to. And he's a Clemson guy, so I always got to kind of secretly root for those guys. Jeff says Coop toasting somebody this game. We'll definitely see. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that AJ Terrell, CD Lamb matchup. Because I think Terrell really takes that personal. And Mendoza said, I think we can find a way to beat his off coverage. He never plays press, ever. He plays man. He plays 5, 6, 7 yards off every time. So when you got a route runner like Coop, you can definitely probably throw him off his game. So we'll definitely see. That's something to pay attention to. So now let's go to the defensive side. We've got 2 revenge games for some of our defensive players. We got Keanu Neal playing against the team that drafted him, former safety for them. We also got DeMonte KZ. Over under half a turnover for one of those 2 guys. So, do either one of them get a turnover or they don't? Spoony going with the bold prediction saying KZ gets the pick 6. Hold on, Spoony. I got to give you this for that one.
Bold predictions.
Spoony with the KZ pick 6. So let me know what you guys think. Over under half a turnover for Neal and KZ. I got 2 more over unders and then we'll get out of here. Stephen White says over. Jeff says KZ gets a pick also, but not the pick 6. All right, let me get one more coming in. Let me see what you guys think about this one. So do you guys really think this is going to be a game that we really see Neal's best game? Because we haven't really seen Neal just step up and be the athletic, heat-seeking missile that people expected him to be at linebacker. And with and Mendoza says Neal will force one. And with Cordaro Patterson playing the way he's playing, I would probably rather see a lot more of Neal than Van Der Esch in the linebacker group. Because Van Der Esch and Patterson is a major mismatch. Patterson and Mike Davis is a pretty bad mismatch also. Because Mike Davis is really good out of the backfield as well. So I hope we see a lot of Neal. I hope he makes some good plays. And we'll see. I see everybody kind of thinking KZ makes the big play this game, except for Mendoza. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we got on this one. All right, so next over under, they've got the cheat code in Kyle Pitts, who's been getting better and better every week. A couple weeks ago, I talked about this. They put Xavier Howard on him. He had like 160 yards. And then turn around, they put Stephon Diggs on me. Only had 13 yards. So I know we said we like Diggs on the outside. Something to keep in the back of your minds. Dallas has always kind of struggled against the tight end. Over under Kyle Pitts, 65 yards receiving. Over under 65 yards receiving Kyle Pitts. Let me know what you guys think. I'm actually leaning over on this one. I like the way they use him in this offense. I think they're going to catch us off guard a couple times. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. Stephen White says over. Spoonie says over also. Jeff says over, no TD. I will say this: when they get in the red zone, it's pretty much cover Pitts, cover Patterson. That's it. They don't run the ball. They don't look for any other receiver unless it's like a fourth option. Their first two options are Patterson and Pitts when they're in the red zone. And Stephen White says he's going to get his. Mendoza also says somewhere in the 70s. All right, so last over-under the night. I talked about this early in the show. I really, really, really like their pass coverage on the offensive line. Their offensive linemen are all athletic. All of them are like 6'5", 310. They all look like tackles, in my opinion. And I was as high on Mayfield as any lineman in this draft. And looking at the past 4 games, he hasn't really let me down in terms of pass coverage on the line. It looks like Gregory's dealing with a calf issue and a little bit of an ankle. We haven't gotten a lot from the left side. Bashham's been doing solid. I think this game we're not going to see Parsons as much blitzing because that just leaves you open to Patterson out of the backfield. And I think we're going to need him in space as much as possible. Over under 2.5 sacks for our defense. Over under 2.5 sacks. And no pushes this time. You got to give me an over or under. Let me know what you guys think. And if you want to say who gets the sacks, let me know if it's over. Okay, Stephen White says over. Mendoza says under. Stephen White, who gets the sacks? Let me know. Spoonie just coming with bold predictions left and right. 5 sacks for our defense. Now, I will say this. Because this is a rivalry game, they're definitely bringing Neal on the blitz. They're definitely bringing Neal on one. I'm just a little bit concerned about the rest of the guys because I really like their pass coverage. Jeff says Osa gets one. Lewis corner blitz gets one. Stephen White says Randy, Osa, Curse. Stephen White, Micah. So, Spoonie, you say we get 5 sacks. Does somebody get multiple sacks this week? I'm just curious. You don't have to go through all 5 guys. I'm just wondering who you think is going to be kind of the guy who brings it for us on the pass rushing scale. Stephen White says 4. Okay. Okay, Spoonie says Randy gets 2 against Jake Matthews. That's going to be a really good matchup because Jake Matthews is not very good against the run, but he has very good feet, and he's always been kind of known for his pass coverage, especially when he's healthy because he's dealt with a lot of injuries, and that's really hindered his career. He's a very good left tackle. So that's going to be a good matchup to pay attention to. All right. Jeff says Neal might get one. Ralph Campos says Dorrance Armstrong gets one. Neal Armstrong also all get 1. Randy gets 2 from Spoonie. Okay. Another thing I talked about before, they've been giving them 4 seconds pretty much all year, all the last 4 games. And they run a lot of quick routes. So it's going to be hard to get back there to them unless we get back there quickly. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much all I got this week. We're at 1 hour, 30 minutes. The views are pretty steady the whole time, so thank you guys for joining. As always, I appreciate your support. Appreciate the great dialogue. You guys always bring it with the questions and comments. Once again, feeling a little under the weather. Thought I'd get out of here in 55 minutes, end up staying an hour and a half. So that's just a testament to how knowledgeable you guys are and how you guys keep the conversation going. So thank you for that. So be sure to tune in every week, 8:30 Central Standard Time for the Cowboy Zone every Wednesday. Next week, hopefully, get back on track, and it's a Victory Wednesday. So be sure to tune in for that. We'll talk about this game, break down next week's game, and also catch us this week on Keeping Up with the Joneses. I ended up missing last week, but I'll definitely be on there this week with Rika and Charlie, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll do a little bit further recap on the show. And on the game, Charlie's a little bit more analytical than I am. So I'm looking forward to getting a listen to what the statistics say as compared to what I've seen on tape to see if he can change my mind on some of the stuff I'm looking at. So it should be a good conversation. I don't know if we're going to have a guest or not this week, but we will be giving away some prizes. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Ralph Campo says Quinn doesn't blitz enough. I agree with that. He definitely doesn't blitz a lot. And this week with the athleticism they have with Cordaro Patterson, it's going to be hard to blitz, in my opinion. So, yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Thank you, Stephen White. I don't really feel sick. It's really just kind of a sinus drain that keeps me having to clear my throat and cough. I feel fine. It's just I'm trying to get rid of this cough. So I took a lot of medicine before I came on to make sure I wasn't coughing the whole time like I was before I started the show. So if you haven't done so already, once again, at the bottom of the screen, I'm Bluff City Cowboys on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I'm Bluff Cowboys on Twitter. Make sure you guys give me a like. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you continue to share, continue to support. You guys fuel Cowboy Zone Nation. And looking forward to next week. Once again, speaking into existence, another Victory Wednesday. I'll try to do a pregame show this Sunday. Schedule's been pretty busy, but I think I should be available for one. And Mendoza giving us the game prediction already, 27-23 Cowboys. If I do one, I probably won't be at my house. So I try to get on there because I haven't done one in so long. So I'm looking forward to getting you guys game predictions and bowl predictions. So be sure to look for that this Sunday. We're going to do a pregame show. Game predictions, bowl prediction, keys to the game. Once again, I'm Marcus holding it down for my guy Lambo. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.